Hey guys, Tony Denaro here. Welcome back to lesson 2 of options trading for beginners. Today we're going to cover buying call options. If you are brand new to trading, please go back and watch lesson 1 where we cover some basic definitions. And if you are here just to learn the basics of buying call options, then this is the video for you. I'm going to cover what is a call option, why would you want to use it, and when and how would you use it. Once you have a basic understanding about buying call options, I will cover with you in a subsequent video some live trades and show you exactly how it works. With each of the training videos, the content is kept relatively short because if you are brand new to options, the content can be confusing at times and we want to keep it in manageable chunks. If you need to, feel free to pause, rewind, and watch again. Once you have the basics mastered, move on to the next video. And without any further ado, let's get right into buying call options. For beginning options traders, there are 4 basic strategies: buying calls, buying puts, selling covered calls, and selling cash covered puts. We're going to be covering today buying calls, which is a strategy to use when you're bullish or expecting a stock to go up and you are a beginner. Buying a call option, again, is a bullish strategy. You're expecting the stock to go up, and it gives you the right to buy 100 shares of stock at the strike price on or before the expiration date. Just as a quick example, let's assume that you bought a call option with a strike price of $120 that expired in March, and the stock price went up to $135. Even though the stock is now worth $135, you have the right to buy 100 shares of stock for $120 with your call option. A common question that I get is, what do I do after I've bought the call option? How do I get rid of it? How do I sell it? There are 3 possible outcomes once you've bought a stock option. The first possible outcome, if you were betting on the stock to go up and instead it went down, is that your option is going to expire worthless. In this example, if our strike price was $120 and the stock never reached above that level before the expiration date, our call option would end at expiration with a value of $0. So essentially, you lose your initial investment. The second possible outcome is that the option is assigned. In other words, the stock ends up closing at expiration at a higher price than your strike price, and you hold the option all the way past expiration. At that point, the broker is going to assign the option to you, which means you will need to buy the 100 shares that your option represented. In this case, the strike price was $120, so you would be responsible for purchasing $12,000 worth of stock, but the bright side is that the value of the stock at $135 is $13,500, meaning that you're sitting on a profit of $1,500. The third and final possible outcome is the one that is the most common: selling the option prior to expiration. In most cases, this is the outcome that you will be choosing. In other words, at any point from when you bought the option all the way up until when it expires, you can sell it to either lock in profits or to cut losses if it's not going your way. As an example of locking in profits, if the option cost you $295 on the day that you bought it and the stock went up in the bullish direction you were forecasting, you were able to sell your option for $700. Your total profit would be $405. And you can take that profit at any time prior to the expiration. You do not have to wait until the option expires. Next, I want to talk about why would you buy call options. Number 1, because they're less expensive than buying the stock itself. And number 2, because of leverage. Let's go into an example. To control 100 shares of stock, buying a call option is relatively cheap compared to buying the stock itself. As an example, let's say we wanted to control 100 shares of Apple stock, and Apple is currently trading at $170. That would cost us $17,000 to buy the stock itself. Compare that to buying 1 call of Apple, let's say with a strike price of $175 and an expiration date of February 18th. Right now, that call would cost us $295 to control the same 100 shares of Apple stock. That, my friends, is leverage. Just to hammer home the power of leverage, let's compare that same example: 100 shares of Apple stock versus 1 call option. $17,000 versus $295 initial investment. Let's see what the power of leverage gives us if the price of Apple stock goes up to $180 prior to our option expiration date. If Apple goes up to $180 per share and we had purchased 100 shares, our investment would now be worth $18,000. Minus the $17,000 we initially spent to purchase the stock would give us a gain of $1,000 or 5.88% gain. On the other hand, if we had bought the call option with a strike price of $175 and the underlying stock went up to $180, our call option would now be worth $708. Minus the $295 initial cost gives us a gain of $413 profit, or a gain of 140%. So how do you choose which call option to buy? There's two things that we look at. First is the expiration date. Let's just use as an example for right now 30 days from today. And remember, options can be sold at any time prior to the expiration date. Once you buy it, you can sell it at any time. The second thing that we're going to choose when buying a call option is the strike price. And we're going to start out by looking at a stock, let's say Apple, which has a current stock price of $170. When you look at a list of options for a certain date, you're going to see a variety of strike prices. Some of them are going to be what we call in the money, and the others are going to be out of the money. The difference is whether or not the strike price is below the current price of the stock, which is in the money, or if the strike price is higher than the current price of the stock, those would be out of the money. Next to each strike price will be the price of the option, or the option premium. And you will notice that the options that are listed in the money are more expensive than the prices or the premiums of the options that are out of the money. Refer back to lesson number 1 if you need to, but remember that the price of an option varies based on its intrinsic and extrinsic value. To close up this lesson, let's talk about that a little bit more in detail. Recall from lesson 1 that intrinsic value is just whether the option is in the money or not. The other part of the price of the option comes from extrinsic value, which is the time value, or the time left until the option expires, and the implied volatility, also known as the IV, which is the likelihood of changes in the underlying stock's price. Now, we're going to talk about IV in a future video. Just to cover this topic would take 30 minutes, so we're not going to go in depth on it today. Let's talk about the time value. If there's one thing you take away today from this lesson on buying call options, I want you to remember the effect of time decay, also known as theta, something that you must understand. An option's time value decreases as time goes on. Not only does the time value decrease as you get closer to expiration, but the rate of change, the rate of decrease, increases the closer and closer you get to expiration. In other words, time decay is exponential. The closer you get to the expiration date, the harder the theta, the harder the time decay is working against you. We're going to talk about this more in advanced lessons, but as a takeaway from this beginner's lesson, I want you to remember, when possible, buy call options with at least 60 days until expiration and sell them early at the top of that curve before the time decay kicks in and kills the value of your options premium. All right, I hope you made it all the way through that lesson and now understand a little bit more what is a call option, why we would want to use it versus buying the stock, the importance of leverage, and more importantly, how the time value works in call options. In the next lesson on call options, we're going to be actually looking at them in the brokerage app, picking an option, buying it, and watching the process all the way through to selling it. But before we get to that one, lesson 3 is going to be on understanding put options, so I hope to see you on that video. Again, I am Tony Denaro. Thank you for your time, and if you got value out of today's lessons, please don't forget to buy and hold that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid?